The Knights Hospitaler Commandery in Český Dub. The history of the ancient town of Český Dub goes back to the Romanesque period. Established as a trading settlement on a promontory washed on each bank by a river, the Ještědka on one side and the Rašovka on the other, it was located on an important trade route connecting Prague with Lusatia. At the time of its foundation, Český Dub was one of the oldest settlements in Bohemia. The origins of the town are closely linked to the local Knights Hospitaler Commandery, i.e. a fortified monastery of the Order of Knighthood, founded shortly after 1237 by a Czech magnate called Havel of Lemberg, who was married to Saint Zdislava. Saint Zdislava was a patroness of the Poděštědí region and the Czech lands, generally speaking a patroness of families, particularly the poor and the sick. Saint Zdislava, renowned for her hospital work and her ability to perform healing miracles, most probably performed her duties as a carer in the above-mentioned facility which belonged to the local Knights Hospitaler. The Knights Hospitaler Commandery in Český Dub is a partially preserved group of buildings from the 1230s, which were built by the Knights of the Hospital of St. John of Jerusalem, Knights Hospitaler. Today it is one of the oldest preserved medieval buildings in northern Bohemia. The most significant of the preserved parts of the complex are the late Romanesque chapel of St. John the Baptist and the so-called Great Hall of the Romanesque Gothic monastery building, where visitors can still see the original arching and vaulted belts, medieval windows and other details of the original constructions. The Commandery of Český Dub was a part of a number of places which were all administered by the Knights Hospitaler. In addition to their purely religious function, the Knights of the Order were charged with the military protection of the territory entrusted to them and provision of hospital services, including refreshments and accommodation for travellers. In order to ensure the safety of the routes and the availability of the provisions, the Knights Hospitaler Commanderies were built within a 50-kilometre distance of each other, which would then correspond to a trader's one-day journey. The commanderies of Prague, Mladá Boleslav, Český Dub and Zittau served the intended purpose on the trade route that led through the local countryside. At about the time of the foundation of the local Knights Hospitaler Commandery, another settlement was established in its vicinity, which was later called Nová Světla, and became the foundation of the town of Český Dub, which was subsequently built there. The importance of the Knights Hospitaler Commandery in Český Dub is further supported by the fact that in 1357 it was honoured by the visit of the Holy Roman Emperor and Czech King Charles IV. In subsequent years, though, the Commandery of Český Dub had gradually lost its importance until it met its final demise during the Hussite Wars. The last friars left the commandery in 1425, and the site was then used for the construction of a manor house which was built for the Hussite commander Jan Čapek of Sani, alias Krutzenberg. There followed several years of a scramble for power over the manor, which culminated in 1429, in the last Hussite disaster brought about by the Orphan Army, which completely ravaged the settlement of Český Dub. It is obvious that Krutzenberg was the subject of great battles, but it was doomed and ended in ruins. The 16th century owner of the Český Dub estate, Jan of Opperstorf, gave orders to build a Renaissance palace with a brewery on the site. Unfortunately, the palace buildings were destroyed in the devastating fire of Český Dub in 1858. At the beginning of the 20th century, a civic tenement house was built on the site of the original eastern wing of the commandery. It was only in 1991 that the remains of the medieval commandery mentioned in old documents but subsequently lost were finally rediscovered. It was a genuinely sensational discovery made by the director of the local museum, Tomáš Edel, Ph.D. It was the result of many years of Edel's historical and physical research, aided by a lot of good fortune that favours those who are well prepared. Yet it was, above all due to his perseverance, combined with his undying enthusiasm and commitment to the cause. That is how he suddenly encountered a vanished world under an ordinary modern wall of one of the local cellars. Having peered through a carefully dug probe, he finally glimpsed the coveted, long-lost commandery of the Knights Hospitaller of Český Dub. It was on the morning of the 10th of October 1991 when he entered the palace cellar equipped with a set of hammers and chisels. He aligned the blade of his chisel with the hard cement plaster of the axis of the vault of the eastern wall, and within seconds, as if opening the iron curtain of the National Theatre, the brickwork fell away, revealing a large opening through which Edel suddenly peered into the 13th century. Instead of finding just a tiny fragment or a small vault, several weeks of painstaking work helped him uncover an entire room with 3 massive cross vaults. Nevertheless, the surprise finding of the supposedly long-extinct Commandery was not going to be final. In 2003, further archaeological excavations in the area led to another remarkable discovery. In one of the graves in the centre of the Knights Hospitaller compound, a rare Romanesque relic was found. A rare cross decorated with precious and semi-precious stones, as well as a relief of the crowned Christ. The relic comprised a piece of wood that constituted a holy cross. It remains a great mystery of the Commandery of Český Dub, who had originally owned the grave in which the precious object was found. What shocked experts even more was the fact that the grave in the centre of the monastery did not contain a body of any of the knights of the male order, but that of a woman. The extraordinary discovery of the late Romanesque 2-story palace and the chapel of the Knights Hospitaller Commandery in Český Dub, and the simultaneous identification of its founder, Havel of Lemberg, the husband of Saint Zdislava, as that of the prominent personality, a Markvart magnate, led to a fundamental reappraisal of the significance of Český Dub in 1991. According to Decree number 476/92, collection of the Ministry of Culture of the Czech Republic, the historic core of the site was declared an urban monument zone. 4 years later, in June 1995, the program of revitalization of the Český Dub urban monument zone was completed. Thus it came about that a long-neglected historical site finally came to life after half a century of inattention, thanks to the joint will of many parties. The Knights Hospitaller Commandery in Český Dub has been open to the public since 1993, when it became a separate exhibition of the Poděštecký Museum. Both are managed by the Poděštecký Museum and Library, a contributory organization of the town of Český Dub.